welcome back to Patriot Talk. Today we have two of our softball players, Shelby Thornhill and Krystal Cammuse. And it's not Cammuse, as Tom often calls you, Krystal. I don't really know why he does that. But you guys have a big game today against the University of the Cumberlands. Now hopefully by the time you guys are watching this, they're actually going to play today. But you have a big conference weekend. You got Cumberlands today, and then you have Georgetown this weekend, okay, or Georgetown on Saturday. So talk a little bit about what it means to play in the Mid-South Conference.
Well, it's a pretty tough conference, so usually whenever we're playing any teams in our conference, we're going to have some good competition. So any teams we play other than conference is pretty good practice for any games that we play, like over this weekend.
Okay. And so, Krystal, you know, you're kind of our ace this year. You've been kind of the ace on staff as a pitcher since last year. You had some big shoes to fill last year with Amber Mattioli graduating, and so you kind of came in. You're a fireballer. You throw the ball really hard. You make loud noises when you're throwing the ball, and you're an entertaining pitcher to watch. And if I remember correctly, in your last game, you actually struck out 8 batters, and that's been average for you. You're striking out 7 or 8 batters in almost every contest. So, you know, we talked about the Mid-South again. You're facing some of the best hitters in the country, and obviously everybody in this conference can hit, but it's up to you to get them out. So, what does it mean to you to pitch in the Mid-South?
Well, I just have to, you know, get my head right and realize that they are good hitters, and I have to think while I'm out there what they cannot hit and what is going to get me ground balls and get my team to win.
Right. And Shelby, you know, you're a hitter, and Krystal is too. But Shelby, you seem to be the home run hitter this year. And, you know, your freshman year, you'd never been able to tell me that, but you developed your swing, and you're actually swinging the bat really well. So how is it to be able to hit these pitchers? Because obviously the pitchers are pretty good in this conference.
Well, I know all the pitchers are going to be pretty good, so when I go into it, I'll also have to have my head right, like Krystal said. So actually when I get in the box, I just try to stay super focused and look for my pitch, that outside pitch. And if they throw me anything different, then I'm just looking to foul it off.
All right, and speaking of fouling off, now Shelby, quite possibly the funniest thing that I've had happen to that I've seen happen here since I worked here was the fact that you parked your car right behind our venue. Okay? It was a gorgeous red car, beautiful windows, and you were playing first base, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
which gives you a great vantage point. You can see the car really well, and just think about how great your car is. What happened to your car last year, Shelby?
Well, we were playing Lindsey Wilson, and they fouled off a ball over the backstop, and it went through my back glass.
All right, so you had free air conditioning for the rest of the year.
Yes, and it actually, I think it rained that night, and I had to drive home with a big piece of tape over my back glass.
And so that kind of represents the fact that you're from Kentucky, right? Because then you just fit right in with tape all over your car, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And so where are you from in Kentucky?
Breckenridge County.
All right, and what high school did you go to?
Breckenridge County High School.
All right, well, you're specific. Okay, well, I'm a transplant, so I didn't even know Breckenridge County had a high school, so there you go. But anyway, and so Krystal, you're from Frankfort?
Yes.
And what high school did you go to?
I went to Western Hills High School.
Western Hills, okay. And so how did both of you end up at St. Catherine?
Well, I wasn't originally going to go here, and I went to a blue chip camp over the summer. I've been the past 2 summers, and Coach Smith was emailing me and talking to me pretty hard, and I was going to go to U of L, and then I decided, well, maybe I should just play softball. So I came here, and good decision.
And I guess you liked it so much that you convinced your sister to come next year, right?
Yeah, she's coming here to play basketball for Lena. So.
All right. And Krystal, how in the world did you end up at St. Catherine?
Well, my pitching coach, Vernon Bibb, he kind of hooked it up at first, and then I just kept talking to Coach, and she was really interested, so I ended up coming here for softball.
All right. And so for those of you who don't know, softball is obviously a little different than baseball. So today, Krystal and Shelby have both agreed, against their will, to go ahead and we're going to demonstrate what the anatomy of a softball pitch, and we're going to demonstrate the anatomy of a softball swing. Shelby's pitching, and Krystal's going to hit.
No.
I'm just kidding. We're going to do the opposite. So give us 1 second here. We're going to reset, and we're going to go through the anatomy of a pitch and a hit for you. All right, and we're back. So we've got the set changed around here a bit. Now, Krystal's going to go through a pitching motion for us. We're going to go through a full pitching motion first, and then we're going to kind of break this down for you so you have an idea of what our pitchers go through. So, Krystal, you're on. right, so you can pick up really quickly that the big difference in softball and baseball obviously is the underhanded motion, okay? Now that doesn't mean that it's slower for certain. Krystal actually throws the ball really hard in the upper 50s and lower 60s, so that's what we're looking for out of our pitchers with our fastball. Now, Krystal, the first thing you do is you really rock on the mound, okay? So go ahead and demonstrate your rock, all right, and then I'll have you talk about it a little bit. All right, so now Krystal's going to come set. She's presenting the ball on the mound, and she comes set, and then goes through her rock. So right here, all right, now this is what we're going to talk about, Krystal. So why, you can go and come back up so they can hear you. So why are you rocking, okay? Now, a lot of pitchers will stand up straight. They don't rock. Some pitchers just slide their foot, and then they push off. So why are you rocking?
Mostly I rock just to get the momentum and the power in my legs so I can push off, because the harder you push with the legs, the harder the ball's going to go. So.
All right, so I want you guys to pick up on the fact that she's saying power, and she's going to say power a lot through all this, so start paying attention. All right, so what's your next motion here, Krystal? What's the next thing you're going to do right after you rock? You're going to push off and drive, right?
Yes.
All right, so let's go through that. Let's go through the next step in this anatomy. All right, so she's rocking, and now she's going to push off. All right, so she's open. She's in a good Y, kind of an X here. All right, so Krystal, what has happened with your back foot now? Why does your front foot coming forward so much, is that important to your back foot?
Because it keeps you in line. You got to stay on your power line and straight, or the ball's just going to go crazy.
All right, so there again, there's that word power. So you're talking about a power line. Now what, in your mind, how can you define a power line?
It's mostly in the middle of the plate, in the middle of your body. You just have to stay on it, stay straight, push on it.
All right, and so Krystal, right when you're up in that motion, now we're going to go through the rest of your pitch, the end of this pitch, and we're going to talk about your release point. All right, so go ahead. All right, rocking, push off, power line, and then she's releasing. Okay, so where do you want to release at, ideally, with a softball pitch?
Right beside your hip.
Right beside your hip. And why is that?
Because if you release up, it's going to go up too far. If you release back behind your hip, it's going to go into the ground.
All right, so I think that's why Coach Smith went out and got you a taller catcher this year, so you pitch farther up, correct?
Right.
All right, and so speaking of up, you know, we just talked about it a second ago. One major difference in the pitching style in baseball and softball is the rise ball.
Yes.
You obviously cannot throw a rise ball with a baseball. I mean, you could, it's just going to rise over the top of the backside. But, so how do you hold the ball with your rise ball?
I just hold it just like a fastball, but you have to spin it a lot harder. It's like the spin of a screwball, which is outwards, but you have to spin and you have to stay back, and it's going to spin up.
All right, and so a screwball, all right, that's different than a curveball. How?
Screwball, you go this way, and a curveball, you go out.
All right, and so ideally, you're wanting to break the ball out away from the batter, especially if it's a left-handed batter with a screwball, and break it back in with a curveball, and the opposite way on a right-handed batter, correct?
Correct.
All right, well, Krystal, thank you. And now we're going to switch over and look at our slugger here and look at the anatomy of a softball swing. All right, we've got things switched up once more. Shelby's ready to go. So Shelby's going to go through a softball swing for you, and then we're going to kind of go through the anatomy of a swing with Shelby and the differences, okay? So Shelby, you're on. All right, Shelby. So the first thing you're doing is you're kind of back, all right? So when you step in the box, what's going through your head, and why are you just bringing the bat back?
Well, I'm just trying to stay focused. That's what's going through my head on the ball, mostly. And then I'm bringing the bat back so I can have momentum to whip it through the zone.
Okay, and so when you whip it through the zone, so let's go ahead and go back to your stance, all right? So you've got in the box now, bat's back. All right, what's the next motion after you bring that bat off your shoulders?
Well, I need to have a good athletic stance with my feet apart, and then relaxed hands so I can bring my barrel through the zone.
All right, and so does it make a huge difference as to how fast that barrel's coming through the zone?
Depending on how fast the pitcher is.
Okay, and so if the pitcher's really slow, are you wanting to bring the bat head through fast, or are you wanting to bring it through slower?
You want to bring it through slower and stay back with your hands.
All right, and so Shelby, you may not know the answer to this, but can you tell us a big difference between a softball swing and a baseball swing?
I don't know exactly.
Well, just from my observation, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, your all swings are a lot flatter. They're quicker, they're flatter, and then a baseball swing's big looping most of the time. Where they're normally looping. Now, a lot of guys hit the ball in a lot of different ways just because of where they're trying to place it. But with you guys, they're very precise, compact swings looking to drive the ball. It's a different ball, obviously, okay? So, and then the next thing we're going to talk about is how important are your hips in your swing.
Well, your hips, most of your power is coming from your hips and your legs in softball, so it's pretty.
All right, so let's display that. So let's just go from your step into where the bat's coming right across the plate, okay? All right, so you guys can see here her hips are already, all right, parallel with the edge of the plate, okay, parallel with the bat head. All right, so she's bringing her power through, and her hips are what's going to drive that, okay? So that's why it's so important when we talk about your core and how strong your hips are to bring that through. It's not at all about your arms, right?
Right.
All right. So Shelby, how many home runs have you made today?
Don't jinx me.
Well, I figured I'd just ask. I mean, well, as long as you don't park your car back there again, we'll be all right, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Krystal, if you want to hop back over here, bring a ball with you. And I forgot the baseball, so we can't really do that. Well, hold on.
We were going to bring one too.
We were going to bring one. All right, well, all right, so as you guys can see, softballs are pretty big. Okay, they're not exactly soft. Sorry, Krystal. All right, but if you guys ever get a chance, come on out and watch these ladies play softball. They play today at 2 o'clock versus the University of the Cumberlands and 1 o'clock tomorrow versus Georgetown College. The Georgetown College game is always exciting. Holly Smith loses her mind every single year. So it's always a good time. Come on down to Salt River Electric Field today and support your Lady Patriots.
Yeah. Go team.